Welcome to the theater. Take a seat, grab some popcorn, and get ready for another horror movie double bill. This is Friday Night Fratricide.
Good evening, and welcome back to Friday Night Fratricide. You are here with your hosts, the Happy Brothers. I am Fraser.
And I am Euan.
You could not have made that sound more ominous if you tried.
Very spooky.
We are here with a spectacular double bill. I was trying to do something funny, but I lost it and just went with spectacular instead.
Yep.
Sharks.
Sharktacular.
See?
It's a sharktacular double bill.
That's why you're the funny one.
Am I the funny one?
Yeah, I just man the recording station. I'm just here.
You're spinning the wheels of steel.
Exactly.
You're our master of ceremonies.
Exactly. Yes, sharks this week. We got, apart from Jaws, I'm trying to think of another, well-revered shark movie.
I don't think there are any.
There isn't really.
I think there's only one good shark movie, genuinely good.
Yeah.
And that's the first Jaws.
Because then we've got, obviously people know, Sharknado. In recent years.
You've got a ridiculous number of these goofy shark films,
yeah.
which I have compiled another quiz for you.
Oh, beautiful.
I've got another quiz for the
intermission.
halfway point, for
Beautiful.
the intermission.
Um,
On the topic of absolute god-awful
Yeah.
shark movies.
Deep Blue Sea as well, I would say, is probably pretty well known.
I would say it's
not
probably the
known as
second-
being amazing, but
Second most famous, at least, probably. Or
Yeah.
there's what is it, The Reef? Is that a shark one?
The Reef, I guess, yeah. Or what's the other one that came out
Or was
recently?
there-
The Shallows.
The Shallows. There's one,
With-
is it Open Water? Does that have sharks, or are they just in
I
open
think
water?
I think it does have sharks in it,
Yeah.
but they're
It's
not,
not really
the
like a
focus.
shark thing.
They just get stranded off the boat.
And then there's The Meg,
The Meg as
which
well,
is the new one,
actually.
but that's more
a
like an
megalodon.
action-y kind of thing, isn't it? And it's a megalodon,
it's-
which
yes.
is not technically a shark, I guess.
a predecessor to a shark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ancestor.
I'm pretty sure the dog is licking himself down there.
No, he's chewing on a tennis ball.
Oh, okay. Could you take that out of his mouth, please? Thank you.
Try.
Unfortunately, my other half is not around this evening to watch the dog, so yes, we are
Yeah.
minding both dog and the shop tonight. Right. Shall we kick off?
Wipe my hands off the chair.
We've got Deep Blue Sea and we've got Jaws for the Revenge.
I do not
Which would you
particularly
like to
mind.
start with?
I wrote my notes for Deep Blue Sea first,
So did I.
which was my choice. Shall we go with Deep Blue
Yeah,
Sea?
let's do that.
I don't remember very much about this film. I only watched it a few days ago. I watched it on Saturday, I think.
Where are you drunk?
No, I wasn't. I watched it during the day. I was not drunk yet. I wanted to
before
get
5
drunk
o'clock.
after I finished watching Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea, 1999. It's very much in that era of I guess we're in a bit of a horror renaissance. I think of the late 90s and the early 2000s as being a little bit of a boom because of Scream. There's this, it's that Kevin Williamson dialogue sparked a lot of horror movies, especially slashers. And I think this was probably just made sort of off the back of that.
Yeah,
I would
around the same
guess,
time anyway. Yeah,
just
yeah.
because of the vibe of it. It's that sort
It does have that vibe. I
action
know what
horror.
you mean. Yeah.
So the film opens up with two couples that are on a boat. They are both quite drunk and they're being amorous, and it's pretty obvious that they're planning on having a foursome. I guess that's at least what I was expecting was gonna happen.
That's the implication.
And then they get attacked by a shark. I assumed that this was just going to be a kind of a cold open where we see some people getting killed by a shark, but the shark gets stopped before it does any real damage. And then we cut to an office in LA where Samuel L. Jackson is going on a
cuts
rant.
to the glorious Thomas Jane,
It cuts to Thomas Jane.
shirtless Thomas Jane, with
Yeah.
his big harpoon. That's how they stopped the shark.
Yeah. Was that Thomas Jane?
Was it not?
It probably was. I remember looking up that and seeing that he was in it. I was quite bad this week.
Who
I
else
didn't
would it be?
look
Who
at
else
the
is
cast.
Thomas Jane?
I don't know. I
Okay,
don't know.
yeah.
What else has he been in other than Punisher?
Not a lot that I know.
Okay.
But
Anyway.
I like him from that. So.
Yeah. He's there. He stops the shark. He's a shark wrangler. That's his job in this film. He's, I guess, kind of the main character, sort of. Pretty much.
Yeah. Him and who you're about to get to.
Yeah. The woman. I didn't write her name down.
Dr. McAllister.
Dr. McAllister. Thank you for keeping me right. She's getting chewed out. I almost said something else. She's getting chewed out by Samuel L. Jackson, who is criticizing her, and she talks about how the test shark got away, and at that point I wrote the note test shark with five question marks, and then she's like, we're this close to curing Alzheimer's, and I would thought, you guys are having two different conversations. What do sharks have to do with Alzheimer's? Turns out sharks are involved in Alzheimer's research because sharks don't experience degenerative brain disease.
Yeah.
Apparently. I don't know. I tried to look it up today to see if that was true, if there was any basis of that. Can't tell. Apparently eating shark meat causes Alzheimer's. Because there's like an enzyme in it that apparently is known as a cause of Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Or something, which is wild. So don't eat sharks, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Anyway.
Good advice. General advice for life.
So he's like, I'm really rich and I'm going to pull all your funding because your research is going wrong. And she's like, no, please, we're this close to curing Alzheimer's. Let me have more sharks, I suppose. And they go out to this big research base that's out on the water. There's like a sort of underwater / surface level thing out in the ocean where they're keeping track of a bunch of sharks. They're like breeding sharks to be big and smart, so that they can get a bunch of brain goop out of them, and they're going to use the brain goop to cure Alzheimer's.
The protein, the big
protein,
brain
brain protein. Yeah. And we're introduced to a bunch of different characters. We see Thomas Jane again, who's the wrangler, shark wrangler. There's another scientist lady she's not a marine biologist. So Dr. McAllister's a marine biologist. The second one's like, she's more of a neuroscientist, I think. She's the brain one or like the medical one. And then there's also another scientist played by Stellan Skarsgård.
Got Michael Rappaport as well.
Michael Rappaport's in it. He's like an engineer type character, I guess. He's a bit of a wiener.
I like Scogs.
Scoggins.
That's his name.
It's a pretty fun name. There's a woman who we don't really see much of, who's like manning the radio.
Ada Turturro.
Janice
Soprano in The Sopranos.
There you go.
I've been watching a lot of Sopranos.
I've not seen The Sopranos, so there you go.
That's probably what she's
Ada
best known from.
She is, she's like doing the radioing and communicating and whatever.
Pretty quickly.
She gets killed quite quickly, and she's basically not in it very much.
Yeah.
It occasionally cuts back to her. And also, speaking of not being in, he's in the film a lot, but he barely interacts with any of the rest of the characters until about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way into the film. LL Cool J is in this as the cook.
He sure
for this
is.
Station. He sure is in this. My note when LL Cool J popped up on screen was, oh boy, big juicy melon breasts. Because every time I think of LL Cool J, I think of Halloween H20 when he's a security guard who keeps talking about how he's writing erotica, and he keeps reading his erotica during the film.
If that's where your mind goes.
And that's where my mind goes when I see LL Cool J.
No judgment here, buddy. No judgment here.
Anyway, so yeah, they go down. Samuel L. Jackson's kind of kicking about getting introduced to everybody. It turns out that it's Dr. McAllister's birthday, and they have a surprise birthday party for her. They do the whole kind of ramping up tension because you think something's wrong, and then it turns out they're just bringing her up for a surprise party.
What did you say? The bus? The
a Luton bus.
Luton bus.
They do a Luton bus. Yeah, named that. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. They make you think that like a shark's broken out and like she's radioing people and no one's responding and she needs to go up to the surface, and she goes up to the surface and it's all dark and all the lights are out, and then they turn the lights on.
Flares and blah.
And they set off a bunch of flares and they're like, happy birthday, surprise. And I'm like,
that old trope.
And then LL Cool J says something to Samuel L. Jackson about like, oh man, you almost died in the Himalayas. Like that's on you. You should leave that to the white people. Which I thought was very funny.
That was great.
Yeah.
I love the idea that like snowboarding and skiing and stuff is like a white man's game.
It's a white man's game because it's too deadly.
Yeah.
It's too deadly.
It's really funny about that conversation.
And then after that we get a little bit of like sexual tension, I guess, between Dr. McAllister and Thomas Jane. It doesn't really go anywhere. There's a lot of like, they're sort of at each other's throats, and I was convinced that those two were going to be the last two to survive, and they were going to wind up together at the end of
Yeah.
the film. I thought that was where they're going. Surprise, it's not really. There's a whole thing that he then also has a bit of tension with Samuel L. Jackson because he was in prison for smuggling.
He's on parole.
And he's kind of like, I'm just doing this for money and because I need to have a job. I'm not doing it because I give a shit about curing Alzheimer's.
He doesn't care about the research. It's just a job to him.
Yeah, and he's good at handling sharks, I suppose.
But yeah.
It seems to be.
It's his job.
That's his job. He's a shark wrangler. And then we get a little scene. Presumably it's the next day. They're doing their research stuff. They take some of the protein out of the shark and they put it on they've got some brain cells from an Alzheimer's patient and it brings the brain cell back to life or something. There's a whole scene where it's like,
fires off the neurons
it's
in
going
it or
to
something.
work. We're going to cure Alzheimer's. It's going to be amazing. And then Stellan Skarsgård gets his arm bitten off because he stands too close to the shark. And then they need to helicopter him out and they wind up. Why is it that the helicopter goes down?
So he gets
that.
stretchered away, and they call in a rescue chopper, which to their credit gets there very quickly.
Yeah.
And it arrives, and they hook him on with this big like metal cable. But then, as they're winding it up, the cable snags, and he drops, but the cable's still connected to him. So he then gets gobbled up by a shark. And like pulled towards the research station, which in turn pulls the helicopter towards the station.
Right.
It crashes, everything explodes.
Yeah. So everyone then is trapped in the station,
With the
various
exception of
places
Ada
sort of
Turturro's
scattered around.
character, who gets blown up.
She gets blown up.
Yeah.
Everyone else is trapped, and they need to figure out a way out, and that's basically the rest of the film. At this point, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
They can't go through the water because there are sharks.
Yeah.
And they can't go up through. There is a lift that's been shut down, and there's stairs that have flooded.
Yeah.
So they're like, they need to go down so that they can go right the way around and back up. And LL Cool J's in the kitchen with his
He's
bird
like
that,
separated
swearing
from them.
a lot.
Yeah.
He's kind of by himself for quite a lot of the film, unfortunately. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's very much we get here, something goes wrong again, and they need to find an alternate route, and that rinse and repeat until the end of the film and the finale. It gradually kills them off as well.
Gradually kills them all off. Samuel L. Jackson has a very shocking one because you're assume that he's the main character.
Yeah.
Lots of people talk. That's the only thing I really knew about this film into it, is that there's this really quite shocking scene when Samuel L. Jackson's giving a big speech about how I survived in the Himalayas and I am so great and I'm going to get us all out of here. Everyone listen to me. And then he's standing next to it's like a submarine bay, which is a big pool of water, and the shark just jumps out of it and gets him.
Yep.
And he's done.
That's it. Cooked.
Everyone else just gets killed off one by one.
The other female scientist, she when they're climbing up the lift shaft, she falls. Gets nabbed pretty gnarly. Gets nabbed from when she's like hanging off the stairs.
Yeah.
Michael Rappaport's character gets done when they have to swim underwater and try and reset the breakers or something.
Yeah.
And he gets nabbed from out in front of Thomas Jane when they're resetting the breakers.
And then the very, very end of the film, they're back up on top, but before they can get free, they're worried that the shark's gonna leave the enclosure. This whole thing was actually like a ploy because the sharks are super smart because they've been genetically engineered to be super smart.
They got big brains.
So that they can get all the brain goop. They've figured out that if I flood the station, then everyone's going to go down and I'm going to be able to get out because they'll have to destroy the enclosure to escape or something. I can't remember.
It's kind of glossed over that.
It's sort of glossed over, but it's like, well, now the enclosure is partly destroyed. I can leave.
Yeah. And
I can go and be free and I can have a bunch of super intelligent shark babies and take over the world, I guess. Is sort of the fear.
Pretty much.
So then there's this sort of last bit with LL Cool J and Thomas Jane and Dr. McAllister. They have to do whatever. Dr. McAllister winds up getting got. She sacrifices herself because she's like, the only way that I can distract the shark to buy enough time that we can kill it is by cutting my hand so that I bleed and then jumping into the water to attract the shark to come over and kill me. If he's so smart, surely he would have just left her. I guess he
They're
wasn't.
still
He's
animals.
He's still
They still
attracted
have-
to the blood.
Yeah, they still have that instinct, I guess.
Yeah, and then they manage to kill the shark. They manage to electrocute it they like spear it, and
And they have like a
and
wire
they've got
hooked up to a big like
big cable
helicopter
hooks up,
battery or
hooks up to
something.
the generator in the station or
Yeah.
whatever, and they zap it at the last minute, right as Thomas Jane manages to free himself, and
Yeah.
it's very dramatic. And him and LL Cool J are the only two ones left alive, and then a rescue boat arrives, and that's
Hooray.
And that's
The day shift arrives.
the day shift arrives, and
Yeah.
that's the end of the film.
Yep.
It wasn't very good.
Oh, I loved it.
You love it?
I had a
Genuinely-
really great time with
Genuinely
it.
really enjoy it. I found it really quite boring, just because I felt like
Really?
there was a lot going on, but I didn't find any of what was going on particularly interesting.
Okay.
It was that way where it was like, it's like you say that there's maybe 20 minutes of setup, and then the
Yeah.
whole rest of the film is them being like, right, we need to get to the generator room in order to do this, and then they go there and they're like, oh, we can't do it because we need to go to another room to go and do that, and then
Yeah.
they go there, and then we need to go over there to go and do something else, and they're sort of just bouncing about, and none of the characters are interesting enough to really carry that, I don't think. So I felt like I was quite bored through a
Really?
lot of it. I find I found LL Cool J really annoying.
Really? I
Cool
thought
J
he was
really
brilliant.
annoying. I did think he was like, he's quite funny, I guess. Like, he was sort of the comic relief.
Yeah.
But it kept sort of cutting away to him just by himself, being quippy at nobody.
I know.
And talking about how like God was testing
Yeah,
him.
I
'cause
loved it.
He was a very
That was
Christian
great.
or whatever. Yeah.
No,
That's fair enough. Like, you know how I love a cheesy film.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to judge you for enjoying a cheesy film and thinking that it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I personally didn't particularly enjoy it. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, like, and I do get it.
Yeah.
But to me, the premise made enough sense for me to not be scoffing at it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the science probably isn't real, I imagine. But just the idea of it, they are trying to cure a disease, and sharks have some sort of immunity to it. Therefore, they are testing on these sharks.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they have inadvertently caused these sharks to go a bit manic.
Yeah.
And that's what causes all this trouble. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's a reasonable premise. And then just the idea, like the fact that I was constantly engaged. Like, the first half hour of the film, there's a lot of setup, and until Stellan Skarsgård gets his arm bitten off, there isn't really any violence. I think the sharks they eat one of the sharks, don't they? When Thomas Jane's out swimming, they eat one of their children or something, which shows that they're starting to get a bit violent. But up until that point, and it's pretty shocking, like, you kind of semi see it coming, but it's still like, oh shit, okay. And from there on, it's like there's a decent amount of kills in sort of not quick succession, but regular enough to keep you interested.
Yeah.
And just the cast slowly getting whittled down to the remaining few. I don't know. It kept me engaged, and I liked the sense of urgency that they're constantly having to move from place to place.
Yeah.
It's not a great film by any means. It is a bit like boring. It's not breaking any new ground. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. I thought LL Cool J was great.
Yeah.
I thought he was just the right level of cheese that made it like endearing.
Yeah. This was the peak era for rappers and horror films.
Yeah.
This was right around the same time as this would have been just before Busta Rhymes and Halloween Resurrection.
Yeah.
This would, like I say, this would have been the year after LL Cool J was in H20.
Yeah.
You've got Coolio was in Dracula 3000. You know, like, it's right around then. It's right. It's peak rapper and horror movie time.
Yeah.
So he didn't do a bad job.
Like, he's
Generally, he was
not
okay.
the best actor. Like,
No, he's fine.
Yeah, but I don't know. He killed 2 of the sharks out of 3.
Yeah.
He
He blows one up.
Yeah, he blows the first one up. He gets trapped in the gas stove in
Yes,
his
he goes
kitchen,
and climbs into the oven.
and then it gets like turned on.
Yeah.
And then he manages to escape. He's like, nah, not today, God.
And he
like, hacks his way out the roof.
Yeah.
And then chucks his lighter in after it eats his bird. He wants revenge.
wants
And
revenge
blows it
after
up.
it
And
eats
I
the
was
bird.
like, fuck yeah.
He blows up the shark.
On you go, LL Cool J.
Yeah.
That was badass. And then he kills the one at the end because
He kills the
Dr.
one at the end.
McAllister gets
Gets
eaten.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I was glad. I liked that kind of twist.
Yeah.
I liked that
Yeah,
she
yeah, yeah.
wasn't the sort of secondary protagonist, that she breached like whatever code it was, whatever.
I can't remember what they called
It's like
it.
the Geneva Conventions, but for
like genetic enhancement. There's a
was it the Chimera. Was it something to do with hybridization?
Chimera, something. Yeah, there was. They called it was it the Harvard something?
Yeah, it was
Maybe.
something like that.
I can't remember. But it's like they ask the question early on, like, how did you get the sharks to have such big brains? Did you genetically engineer them?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, no, that's against company policy. I would never do that because you're funding us. Please give us
Yeah.
more money. And then later on, after people start dying, they're like, seriously, how did these sharks get so smart? And she was like, oh, all right, fine. You
Yeah,
got
it's
me. I genetically them. Yeah, no, I did also quite like, I think it probably worked better with Samuel L. Jackson's character than it did with Dr. McAllister towards the end of the film. But I do like films that are willing to kill off the kind of major characters to keep the audience on their toes.
That I mean I was shocked. I was like, she's going to jump in the water and then she's going to climb out, and then she like tries to climb and the handle like breaks off the wall and then she gets eaten. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
you're going to go there, cool. Which I like, whether I like it or I don't, I always admire films that have the balls to do something like that. I did get visibly distressed when LL Cool J got bitten. When they first come up to the surface, he gets like dragged away, but he manages to free himself.
Yeah, I thought
I was like, no, he made it so far.
I thought he died.
But then he
didn't.
gets out. I was yeah. I don't know. It's as I say, it's not a great film by any means, but I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Fair enough.
I thought
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I was surprised that I did.
Yeah.
Because it is, as you say, very much that kind of early 2000s horror movie, 40% on Rotten Tomatoes style film, which is just, usually they're very hit or miss, but I went with it and I had a good time. I enjoyed it.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
What did you rank it? Do you want to give me a rating?
Yeah, I gave it 3.5 stars.
You give it 3.5 stars.
I gave it 3.5 stars.
That's a lot of stars.
Honestly, I would recommend it if you're in the mood for a bit of schlocky horror action,
In the mood for a bit of shark fun.
I think you could do a lot worse than this film.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of positives, even though they didn't pull them all off, and there was quite a lot of actiony tropes that maybe held it back a little bit. There was a lot of stuff that made it unique, like the shocking kills with like Sam Jackson, and then I can't remember the actress's name, Saffron something. Dr. McAllister at the end.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's pretty ballsy. And then having her be the villain and LL Cool J making it to the end as the comic relief, which frequently doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, cool. They're doing a lot of unique stuff, and it was fun. It was fun. What can I say?
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, Saffron Burrows.
Sorry, yeah. She's a really nice voice. That was one of my notes.
I'm looking up what else she's been in. Apparently, she was in You recently.
Oh yeah, the Netflix.
You.
She was inside of me.
Oh god. Yeah, the Netflix series and Westworld. Apparently.
All right. I gave up
There
on
you go.
Westworld after the first season.
Yeah.
What did
Anyway.
you rank it?
I gave it 1 star.
Okay.
I gave it quite a low rating. Not unsurprisingly, that's actually the exact same rating I gave on Letterboxd to Snakes on a Plane just recently.
Oh wow.
I think it's a pretty similar film to Snakes on a Plane, to be honest.
I have never seen Snakes on a Plane.
So maybe it's just because it's Samuel L. Jackson. I thought it was pretty similar vibes.
Okay.
It's of the same era.
Yeah. It's a bit later, isn't it? It's into the 2000s. When
It was
came out, wasn't
2006. So
it? Yeah,
it
it
was
was a wee bit later, yeah.
yeah, I guess a 7-year difference.
But I know what you mean. Yeah, it's still that era of
sort of early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah, I can see why people would think it's just a bit of schlocky fun. Personally, if I'm going to watch a film, I want it to either be good or I want it to be like bad.
Okay.
And I thought this was just like, it was just bad enough that I didn't really give it credit for anything, but it wasn't so bad that I had fun watching it at its expense.
Okay.
And still had a good time. Like Maximum Overdrive was a terrible film, but I think I still gave it I did give it quite a bad rating, but like I had a really good time watching it. And this wasn't that, because I think this is a much better film than something like Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
But that means that I didn't have as good of a time watching it. So it's sort of
it's fair.
Yeah. But in the end, just felt quite bored pretty much the whole time.
That's fair. I see both arguments. And to be fair, I think a lot of this is kind of what mood you're in when you watch it as well. If you watch a film like this, like when we're watching some of the films we watch because we have to review them, some of them I've been like, I have to sit down and watch this. I'm not really in the mood for this kind of film this evening or whatever. You sometimes affects how you feel about the film.
Yeah.
I watched it the other night. I was in the mood for a bit of fun. Got a bit of fun.
Fair enough.
What can I say?
Fair enough.
Was, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Cool. That's not much more to be said about Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah,
it was
you're right.
directed by Rennie Harlin, who also did Elm Street 4, the Dream Eater. What is it called?
Dream Master
Dream Master.
was the fourth one.
And Die Hard 2
And Die Hard 2.
as well. He's a Finnish director,
There you go.
which he was married to Gina Davis.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I know the guy you're... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't know he did this. I know him because I remember watching documentaries about the making of the Friday the 13th films. The Nightmare on Elm Street films, rather.
That might be
And
what you know him from.
I remember them. Yeah, there was like interviews with him. He was like, before he did Nightmare on Elm Street 4, he was like broke, like dirt broke.
Really?
In LA, like bordering on homeless. And he was just like, please give me a job. And they were like, yeah, all right, why not? And then he made it as a director.
I've never seen anything past the second one. I think I've seen Freddy vs. Jason.
The Freddy vs. Jason. I like Freddy vs. Jason.
It's
It's bad,
ridiculous.
but I like watching it. Yeah, 3's the best one. We've not covered a Nightmare on Elm Street yet.
We've actually not.
We'll do a Nightmare on Elm Street at some point. We've not
Yeah.
done Friday the 13th yet either.
That is also true. Maybe coming up.
Could be.
Might be coming up. sometime.
Actually, I was thinking about it the other day. This October is going to be a jam-packed month for us.
Yeah.
We'll figure out what we're going to do. But Friday the 13th of October is a Friday.
Ooh.
Which means we'll have probably a Friday the 13th special.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 Friday the 13th specials. And then a Halloween special. Or possibly 2 Halloween specials. So it'll be a franchise packed
extravaganza
in October.
How exciting.
I think we'll have a lot of opportunities for some
Yeah.
fun stuff in October.
Yeah,
Some
looking
slasher
forward to that.
franchises.
Cool. Okay.
There you go.
Do you want to take us to your intermission quiz?
Yes.
That
It's
sounds exciting.
my little intermission game.
Should I do a little? I feel like I should write a little jingle or something
Da-da-da.
for us to for us to play when we do these games.
It is basically the exact same premise as the game that I did last time when we
Okay.
did on our lakes episode. When I was talking about Lake Placid, I was talking about some giant animal monster movies.
Yep.
And some of the really goofy concepts that we get in those. And I have done another one that this time it is specifically on shark movies.
Okay.
So I've got 5 films. 4 of them are real. 1 of them I have made up.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me which one you think is the made up one.
Okay.
Right. First of all, the story of a bikini contest in the mountains of Canada that turns into a horrifying affair when the contestants are trapped in a toothy natural disaster in avalanche sharks.
Okay.
Second, when a fracking environmental accident rips apart the Earth's crust, the resulting hole lets out prehistoric sharks from underground that target a group of inmates from a women's prison and trap them in a cabin in the Shark and Saw Women's Prison Massacre.
I hope that's real.
Third, deep in the ice of the Antarctic, a team of geologists uncover an old Nazi laboratory still intact where dark experiments had occurred. In order to conquer the world, the Nazis created modified sharks who were able to fly in Sky Sharks.
Okay.
Fourth, starring Gary Busey, a group of scientists who are trying to crossbreed the ultimate killing machine accidentally unleash a shark-spider hybrid in Sharkantula. And fifth, directed by and starring The Room's Tommy Wiseau, 3 firefighters must save New Orleans from a shark attack in Big Shark.
Big Shark.
Big Shark.
Okay. Oh my god. Right, so I know I know at least one of them.
Yeah.
I know Avalanche Shark is real.
Okay.
I'm 100% sure I've seen a poster with that.
Okay.
If it's not, I'm having some weird like Mandela effect where I'm just like attributing that to something I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can picture the poster in my head.
Okay.
What was the second one?
The second one was the Sharkensaw Women's Prison Massacre.
Yeah, I hope that's real. So I want to pray that that is real.
Okay.
The Nazi sharks, it definitely sounds like something that has been done.
Sky Shark.
Sky Shark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I could be wrong, but I think I remember something about Tommy Wiseau directing a shark film.
Okay.
So, by process of elimination, in my head, I'm gonna have to guess Tarantula Sharks.
Sharkantula, starring Gary Busey. You're correct!
Yes!
That is the made-up one.
Oh,
The
mate.
others are real. Sharkensaw Women's Prison Massacre is real.
That's going
You'll
on
be
my watch
happy to
list.
hear. Yeah. Yeah. I did not realize that Tommy Wiseau's next... It like comes out this year.
Yeah,
Tommy Wiseau's next film that's very hotly anticipated from bad movie connoisseurs is Big Shark.
I'm 100% sure I read that somewhere, so yeah.
Yeah.
The other two were a guess, like, what was a Big Shark Woman Prison?
Yeah, Sharkensaw Women's Prison Massacre.
Shark and Salt. That is so ridiculous. I don't know if you could have come up with it yourself.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
But to be fair, the idea of a Sharkantula starring Gary Busey, that sounds amazing.
It sounds
I think
reasonable.
I think you should give him a phone.
give him a bell.
think-
Get him on the blower.
Get him on the horn. Yeah. Oh, good. Yes, I beat your game.
You did. You beat my game.
And I didn't even use any,
You didn't have to use any lifelines. You didn't have
Yeah.
to use a phone a friend.
or the fact of my Wallace and Gromit knowledge.
Yeah,
either.
exactly. Your Wallace and Gromit knowledge is what saved you last time.
Yeah. Cool. You need to come up with more of these. These are good fun.
I'm gonna.
Or I
I'm
do.
gonna have
Maybe
to,
I do.
yeah.
Maybe I can do one for
Maybe
next
next time I'll come up with one that's a different like premise. It's a different.
I'm not. I don't think I'm not as.
There's probably not many other themes that I can do.
I don't know. Next week's theme, I could probably come up with something.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah. You're a lot better at like these little
I think I'm better at coming up with
descriptions
games.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you might be able to tell.
Yeah.
If I do one, But
Maybe.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'll
next
have a
week's
thing.
theme could lend some. So maybe I'll leave that with you as
Yeah,
a
it could be
challenge.
a
You
bit
can come up with
ridiculous.
something for next week.
Cool. Okay, shall we move on to Jaws for the Revenge?
Yes, let's.
Okay. Jaws for the Revenge. I didn't write the year. I think it was 89? 87?
I was going to say either 86 or 88. So it's in the late 80s.
Let's say 87. That's right in the middle of what
87.
you guessed.
Cool.
And I think it was one of those anyway. Yeah, late 80s, directed by Joseph Sargent. He has not really done much of note. He's done quite a lot of things, but nothing that I particularly recognised. A lot of American TV shows and things. And some films.
Mm-hmm.
And judging by this, I will not be watching any other of his films. Because, oh my god, what a piece of shit. You know how we're talking about like films so bad they're good?
Yeah.
This film was so bad, it was awful.
So bad it was bad.
It was not even enjoyably funny. It was just shit.
This is and I looked it up, the second lowest horror film, at least, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really, that
Yes.
does not surprise
It
me.
has a 0% score on
does
Rotten
not
Tomatoes.
surprise me. What beat it?
The One Missed Call remake from 2008.
Oh, yeah.
The American One Missed Call remake.
The trailer for that film used to scare the shit out of me.
I remember. That's the
Really?
thing. The only thing I know about that film is
Yeah.
that I remember you, and I think you showed it to me,
Yeah,
and I remember you finding it scary. You
Yeah.
and your pals finding
but
it
apparently
pretty
it's garbage.
scary. Probably, yeah.
I'm sure it would have been scary for me when I was like 10 years old or whenever
Yeah.
it came out. Okay, so Jaws 4, The Revenge. I read up briefly on Jaws 2 and 3. I've not actually seen them because apparently they're terrible as well.
I know that Jaws 2 has Roy Scheider in it still.
Yes, so he's still in it.
And also
Brody.
Ellen, his wife.
Yeah, Ellen. What's her name? Elizabeth thing. I can't remember her name. You can Google it while.
Yes.
Yeah, so Roy Schneider's not in it, but his wife is Ellen Brody. Mm-hmm. And she is reeling from his death of a heart attack off screen. I don't think it happens in the... What?
No, sorry, I'm laughing thinking about the heart attack because she's like, he was killed by a shark, and it's like he had a heart attack, and he's like, he was so scared of sharks
killed
that it killed him.
Like, okay.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
So she's living...
Lorraine Gary.
Sorry?
Lorraine Gary.
Lorraine Gary. I don't know why I thought Elizabeth. Yeah. Lorraine Gary came out of retirement for this film.
Poor woman.
Yeah. So she's living with her youngest son. So Michael Brody has moved out. He's got his own family now. He's got a kid and a wife, and they live out in the Bahamas. She's still on Amity Island with their younger son, who I think is born after the first film. I don't remember there being a second son in the first film.
I was thinking there's a baby in the first film, isn't there? I think
Maybe.
I think there's Michael, who's about 5 or 6 or something.
Is there a baby as well?
And then I think there's a baby.
Okay, so Sean, the youngest son, he is definitely in the second film.
He's definitely in the second film.
So he is established at this point. I just didn't know about it. But anyway, he is the deputy of the town, and he goes out one evening. He goes to clear some logs that have jammed, that are preventing boats from coming back into the bay, or some nonsense in the bay. So he goes out to try and clear them, and in doing so, a shark jumps out of the water and kills him, bites his arm off, and then drags him away and eats him.
Yep.
Ellen Brody is distraught. Michael and his family come back. She starts having this weird, sort of breakdown. Like, the shark's after my family. They've killed Sean. They killed your father. And it's like, no. And it's not even the same shark. That shark got blown up. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what you're talking about. But she's convinced, and she's having a bit of a time of it. Michael takes her out to the Bahamas to get a break, to get away. They meet Hoagie, the airplane, the pilot who presumably takes them from the airport to whatever island. Are they on an island in the Bahamas?
I'm not sure.
Wherever Michael lives, he takes them out there. Played by Michael Caine, who is by and far the best thing about this film. And honestly, that's not really saying much, but as he gives it his all, right? As far as a performance in this film goes, he's definitely the best thing. He plays a little bit of a love interest towards Ellen Brody. They kind of start seeing each other gradually, which is kind of nice,
I suppose.
I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, the film is basically a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Michael and his friend Jake are research scientists. They're researching underwater snails, crustaceans, something.
Sea snails.
Don't really know. And one night when they're out, and bear in mind, this is like 40 minutes into an hour and a half film where nothing has happened. Sean gets killed in the first 5 minutes, and then nothing happened. Yep. Literally, I cannot exaggerate this enough. Nothing happens up until the point where the shark shows up again. Mm-hmm. He even makes a point earlier on in the film. It's like, come out to the Bahamas. The water's warm there. We don't get sharks out there.
Yep.
And then when a shark shows up, he's just like, oh, there's a shark. We should study this. He's not like, oh shit, there's a fucking great white on our island where children play in the water, where we have festivities going on all the time. He's just like, yeah, let's just keep this quiet. Let's study it in secret. It's like, have you learned nothing? You've been in 3 of these films already.
Yeah.
They've killed all your friends. They've killed your father, kinda. And Right, so the shark shows up, doesn't do anything, takes a bit of a bite out of the boat, but does nothing. And Ellen has this weird, psychic link to the shark that's never really established or actively mentioned. But when Michael's studying the shark, Ellen like freezes in place when she's out with Michael Caine, and she just like stops and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Something's happening. And it's like, are they introducing like fucking psychic sharks?
She's
in this
telepathically
film?
linked with the shark.
Like, oh my
The shark is
god.
This is like, so the sharks in the previous films were killed.
Yeah.
In the first film, at least, the shark was killed.
Yeah.
The second film, I'm guessing the shark gets killed.
I presume so.
The third film, I'm guessing also the shark gets killed.
Yeah.
Because that's how you end a movie about sharks, is
Yeah.
you kill the shark. So like, this shark is a new shark.
Yep.
That has a vendetta against the Brody family because the Brody family has killed 2 sharks already, I suppose.
I guess. And apparently is
so-
able to swim all the way to the Bahamas.
It goes from Amity Island, which is somewhere in New England, like Massachusetts, I think. It's like an island off coast of Massachusetts.
Is that north of America?
Northeast?
And Bahamas is like...
Well, like Caribbean.
So south.
Yeah.
Far south.
Yeah.
So it swam around America.
Yeah.
To get to the Bahamas.
Well, down the east coast, at least.
But like around the outside. And then down.
I suppose.
That's what we're saying here.
Probably.
A shark swam.
Yeah. A very long way in the time that it took a family to fly there in a plane. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Just I'll roll with it. So this, it is implied to be the same shark that killed Sean.
Yeah.
They never explicitly say, but everyone assumes that it is for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it has this weird link with Ellen. She keeps kind of stopping and having these moments of like,
Oh my god, the shark.
weird telepathy
There's a
with
shark
it.
attacking somebody or something or whatever.
Um,
At this point, I have a note that says we're almost an hour into this film and nothing has happened.
Yep, I have the exact same
No,
note.
nothing has happened.
So yeah, a lot more nothing happens until eventually there is like a celebration in the town. I don't know, just like a festive day. Or it's Christmas. Sorry, no, it's Christmas, isn't it?
It's Christmas. Yeah.
It's Christmas. It's a
For
Christmas.
no reason.
It just
This
happens to
should
be
not have been a
Christmas.
Christmas film. I don't know why they made it a Christmas
Yeah,
film.
so it's a Christmas party in the Bahamas. They're having the festivities, obviously because it's warm. There's a lot of like outdoors parties and barbecues and stuff and whatever. And there's folk riding out on their dinghies and on these little like inflatables and stuff. And while this is happening, Michael's daughter goes out on one of them, and on the same boat, a woman gets bitten and eaten very, very slowly, and taken away. We have one casualty.
Yeah.
And that's it for the rest of the film. One death, save for Sean at the very start. And that's like a plot-related death, I would argue. We have one death in an hour and a half film. So the woman gets killed, pulled under, whatever, and Ellen decides for some reason, don't know why, that she's going to just boat out to sea.
Yeah.
She steals a big boat.
She just goes.
And she just goes.
She just vanishes.
No justification. She doesn't take any weapons with her to kill the shark. She doesn't ever explain what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
She just goes.
At this point, it's 15 minutes from the end of the film.
Yep.
And I was just like, right, nothing. We've had one death.
Yep.
And this is ramping to the big conclusion. And there's 15 minutes left on the clock.
Yep.
How are they going to give this film a satisfying conclusion in 15 minutes? Turns out they just don't.
They
don't. Here's the fun part. You don't.
Yeah. So the last 10, 15 minutes of the film, there's a lot of Ellen on the boat having like flashbacks to her family and to a flashback to her husband shooting Jaws from the first film,
which she wasn't around
for,
yeah.
which is bizarre. A flashback of her son Sean getting eaten, which she wasn't around for.
Yeah, but the sharks were around for it. And she's
yeah,
telepathically linked with the sharks. So
there
she
you
can
go.
see it that
there
way.
you go. So Michael, who was out researching or whatever, he comes home. His daughter's traumatized from the attack, quite rightly, to be fair. And he runs out, realizing that his mother's gone. and goes out with Hoagie and Jake in the not in the seaplane,
Just in a plane.
in a plane.
Yep.
I should clarify, because Hoagie then lands it on water. That plane would be ripped apart. You can't land a not seaplane on the sea.
There's a line.
That's not how planes work.
There's a line when he starts like going down. He's like, right, I'm gonna just land on the water. and Michael says to him, like, do you know how to do that? And he goes, of course I don't know how to do it. What kind of a pilot do you think I am? And then crashes into the water. And I thought that was so funny. And I don't know if that was supposed to be a serious line.
I have no idea.
But I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
It was ridiculous. It made no sense. That ship should have, that plane should have just collapsed. But it doesn't. They land successfully. They climb onto the boat. They ask Ellen, what are you doing? Or she asks Michael, what are you doing here? And then he's like, we came to rescue you. And then she just doesn't give any justification as to why she's there.
Yeah.
She just doesn't explain
He's
it.
like, oh, Michael, thank God you're here. Let's get back to shore. And
Yeah.
it's like, you're the one that came out
Yeah.
here for no reason 5 minutes ago. And then you just stood at the edge of the boat waiting for the shark to eat you.
It's wild. So Jake and Michael, they decide that they're going to hook up. They have like an electromagnet or something, some kind of equipment that they're going to spear inside the shark, and then that's like the receiver, and then they have the transponder, whatever. I don't know what equipment it is. It's something that sends like a signal of some kind.
Going to make the shark blow up, I suppose.
Well, no. What they say is it's going to send like an electric current, and it's going to confuse the shark from the inside. So my thought when they say that is like, oh, it's going to like cause the shark to go a bit mad and kind of lose its course and fly off or die or something, right? That's reasonable.
Yeah.
When they say it's going to confuse the shark.
Yeah.
But no, Jake sticks the thing in, getting bitten in the process, by the way, and dragged under, and then survives. Somehow.
Yeah.
Doesn't explain it, but
I was glad he survived because I liked Jake.
He was a big ol' nothing.
I liked him. I thought he was fun.
Okay.
I thought he was fun. He kept busting Michael's chops, and I liked him for that.
I guess. Yeah, so he sticks the receiver or the transmitter or whatever the hell it was in the shark, and then Michael has this big moment where he's like pressing the button to try and confuse the shark and whatever, and then it doesn't work, and then he does like one last big button press right as the boat plows into the shark, and the shark fucking explodes.
Yeah, he just blows up. He gets.
It doesn't get like bashed and like falls in half or anything. It doesn't like spear the shark with the head of the boat. The shark explodes.
He just bursts. Yeah.
That's not what happens. That's not how biology works.
Yeah.
I was screaming at this point. I was like, what the fuck have I just watched? This is appalling. Yeah, and then that's the end of the film. That's they get back to land somehow, I guess. And actually, to be fair, Hoagie he called in like rescue services, didn't he, while they were still on the plane? So they come out, they get rescued, and then the final scene is Hoagie taking Ellen back to the mainland or to the airport or whatever. And that's the end of the film.
Yep.
It ends with Michael Caine doing a little monologue about...
He has all these interesting stories.
You know what it reminded me of? And what I thought the reference was a parody of, The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
You know when he does the speech, and he was like, I once knew a street seller who had a ruby the size of a tangerine.
Yeah. That's what it's like.
I thought The Dark Knight was making fun of these stories. Because that's literally how it sounds. He's like, I was out in Nigeria once, and I met the whole town, and they loved me, and we had a big dance, and we had a big drink. I'm Michael Caine. And that was it. That's his story.
That's his character.
And he does that periodically throughout the film, but that's how it ends as well. It was ridiculous, and I hated every second of it. It was a fucking awful film. Why did I pick this? I really do not have much more of an opinion other than it fucking sucked.
Wow.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
It was boring as shit. There was no kills to even be impressed by.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like schlockiness. There was no cheesy jokes. There was nothing. There was one scene in the whole film that I thought was really nice, and that was the scene with Michael and his daughter.
Yeah.
Where they recreate the scene from the first Jaws,
yeah.
where she's like copying him. He like ruffles his hair and puts his hand behind his hand. I thought that was really nice. That was the only compliment I could give this film.
Yeah.
And also the boat was named Neptune's Folly, which I thought I'd heard before. So I Googled it. Do you know what came up?
Well.
Post an Urban Dictionary. Do you want me to read you the Urban Dictionary report for Neptune's Folly?
Yes, please tell me what Neptune's Folly is.
While pooping, the release of the turd causes water to splash up all over your butt cheeks. Similar, yet inferior, to Poseidon's Kiss.
I was going to say that's a Poseidon's Kiss, isn't it?
Apparently it's a Neptune's Folly as well.
There you go. Interesting.
Now you have two terms for
You
it.
got two terms. Cool. Interesting.
Yeah, that's about all the fun I got out of this film, was Googling that afterwards.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry, I've been taking up all the
No, I'm glad.
airtime on slating this film.
You're going to hate me. I didn't think this film was that bad.
What?
I didn't love it.
Did we watch the same film?
I didn't think it was good. But I did not think it was that bad. I don't think it deserves to be the second worst horror film of all time on Rotten Tomatoes.
Please explain to me.
I found the first hour, yes, pretty boring, but I liked the characters enough that I still found it relatively engaging. I liked Michael. I liked like I said, I liked Michael. I liked Jake. I liked their dynamic. I liked Michael and his wife. I find children in horror films very annoying, so I found the daughter really annoying. But and then I kind of liked the stuff with Ellen and Hoagie. I thought that he was quite a fun character. I thought the music was pretty good. The special effects weren't terrible. I think the main gripe I have with it is that the premise of it is just completely stupid. Like the shark having a vendetta against the family. And then a lot of the writing that comes off the back of that is bad. And a lot of the writing of the weird, the flashbacks I really hated. There's a scene, they do 2 separate flashbacks to the bit from the first film, the copying scene, when Michael is copying his dad.
Yeah.
One of them is when Michael's with his daughter, and him and his daughter are doing the same thing, and that's very sweet. The other one, and I'll see if you can spot the problem here, is at Sean's funeral. Ellen is at Sean's funeral, and she starts thinking about how sad she is and how much she's going to miss her son, and she thinks about happy memories of her and her son, and the memory that she thinks of is her other son. Which I thought was really funny. Yeah, bad. I was disappointed that Sean was in it for such a short time because I thought he was quite charming right at the beginning. I quite liked him. I thought the acting overall was decent. You're just giving me faces.
I'm at this point I am convinced we watched a different film. I think we must. That's
honestly,
the only explanation.
That's the feeling that I got when I finished it. I was like, this is the film that everyone hates so much. I don't it's not good. I don't love it. I probably wouldn't watch it again. I don't see why they bothered to make it, mostly because Jaws is such a great film. Why would you even bother making a sequel to Jaws in the first place, let alone 3 sequels to Jaws? But I don't think it's the second worst horror film ever made. I think it's okay. I gave it 2.5 stars.
Oh my god.
I thought it was...
You ranked this
okay.
higher than Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I was just bored the whole way through Deep Blue Sea.
And you weren't bored through this?
No, I found it fairly engaging.
Oh my god,
I thought
man.
it was okay.
I could have fallen asleep for 90% of this film and still not missed any plot.
Yeah, probably.
And still have a comprehensive idea of what's going on if I had slept through 90% of this film.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to look back, right, to our previous ratings, and I'm going to see where you have put this compared to the other films that we've watched. You ranked this higher than Sunshine.
Yeah, of course I ranked this higher than Sunshine. Sunshine was terrible.
Oh.
The most controversial thing, I think, that's going to come off of this, and to be fair, I do stand by it, is that I give this a half a star more than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Because I don't like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think this doesn't have as many good points as a lot of other films, but I think it doesn't have as many bad points as a lot of other films as well. It was super boring, and I thought it was just kind of, like, consistently decent. It was just, like, yeah. Yeah.
It's your rating. You can
It's
give
my
it
rating.
whatever you
I
like.
give it 2.5, and that
Doesn't mean I have to respect it.
maybe that's a little generous. Maybe I'll watch it again at some point in the future and just think, okay, what was I thinking? But like, no, I don't see why everyone hates it so much.
I absolutely do.
Okay.
I have not seen the other two Jaws films. I imagine they're probably a similar vein as this in terms of quality.
Probably. The third one's in 3D.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
And it's at SeaWorld.
Oh, so to counter pretty much everything you've said, save for one, the acting I thought was awful. I thought every single main, apart from Michael Caine, was terrible.
Okay.
Michael's wife was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else was absolutely phoning it in.
Yeah.
Or at the start of their career.
You didn't like Mario Van Peebles?
No, I thought he was crap.
His accent was not good. But I
What
liked him.
accent was he? Was he trying to do an accent?
I think he was just trying to do like a Caribbean accent.
Because it kind of kept wavering a bit, and I was like, is that his natural accent? And he's kind of
Just not a very good
learned
actor.
to speak. Well, no, and sort of gradually acclimatized to a more standard North Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
Or is he got a North Atlantic accent and is he trying to do a Caribbean accent? Or is it some weird mix of the two?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. My blood pressure is rising.
You're very agitated.
I thought he was crap. Like there was nothing redeeming about him. There was nothing that you wouldn't see in any shitty B movie. There was no aspect of their relationship, Michael and Jake's, that you wouldn't see in any two bros in a B movie.
Yeah.
There was nothing there that was of any interest.
They were pals. I liked them being pals.
They were studying sea snails.
Yeah.
Euan, sea snails.
Just a couple of pals going out and studying sea snails. You don't go out and study sea snails with your pals? Ladies and gentlemen, he's rubbing his forehead so hard.
I'm going to go through the bone in a minute. Lorraine Gray, I thought, should have stayed in retirement.
Yeah, she wasn't very good.
Sean, I thought, he seemed like he was straight out of college, and this was his first film. I don't know if it was. I don't know who the actor is. Mm-hmm. Apologies if it wasn't.
A little bit of that kind of naive charm, maybe, is what I was picking up on.
Just
He's
kind
a bit wet behind the ears.
Yeah. Michael as well, I thought, very handsome man, but I didn't think was anything special at all.
The only other thing that I knew him from was Halloween 2.
Oh yeah,
he's the love interest, the paramedic that fancies
Laurie. Okay,
who's not in it very much.
I don't
he kind of
really
he sort of comes in and
face,
out,
but I know who you mean.
An awful lot.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the beard yet, but he's kind of tall and skinny and has curly black hair.
He's got the curly hair. Yeah, he's played by a different actor in this, which I noticed from the previous two films.
Oh right,
which I didn't realize. But whatever. I guess it doesn't matter because nobody watched this shit anyway. So, yeah. So acting crap, with the exception of Michael Caine. The love interest between Michael Caine and Lorraine Gray, I thought would have been interesting if it had been in another film. But for the tone of this film, it felt like it was plucked out of a drama film.
Yep.
It felt like it was a retired woman who's lost her son, goes on holiday to get away, and falls in love with the local pilot who has a bit of gambling debt. That's an interesting drama film or romance film. Or, well, maybe not interesting, but it's fine, you know. But the fact that it's plopped in the middle of a horror film made no sense. They did not do anything with it. Just leave the dog. He's found the tennis ball.
He's crawling under my legs.
It's fine. He'll find his way out.
Right.
It made no sense. It was ridiculous. The everyone was insufferable. Not enough death.
Not enough death.
It made no sense. Psychic sharks. Oh, like at least with Deep Blue Sea, even if the science is total bullshit, the plot makes sense.
Yeah.
Here, the plot does not make sense because sharks inherently, apparently, do not go to warm water. I guess I don't know enough about sharks, but
well, they just don't live in they just don't live in that kind of climate.
Lake Placid, right?
Yeah,
it makes sense because the whole film is about studying why they have turned up. Why
it
has
big alligators
made
turned up in Maine
all the way from Asia to there.
Yeah,
that's a plot point. That makes sense. If the whole film had been Michael and Jake studying this shark while it's attacking people in the Bahamas, maybe that'd be okay. But the research doesn't go anywhere.
No,
there's no reason for it. Half a star, and that's being generous.
Okay,
I just. A whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Do not recommend. Don't waste your time.
Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it either. I mean, go watch. Just go watch the first Jaws. Like, if you want a shark movie, just watch Jaws. And then if you want another shark movie, just watch Jaws again.
Honestly, yeah. All this made me want to do is watch Jaws again.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad that's over. I'm very sad that you gave that higher than half a star, but each to their own. Yeah. And I guess if you found something to enjoy in it, then it wasn't a total waste of time watching it.
What have we got next week, Fraser?
Well, why don't you tell us, because it's your delicious theme.
Oh, it's my theme.
Well, you came up with it and I love it, so I'd rather hear you say it.
The theme for next week, which we've picked from I put on the list a little while ago. We're randomly generating the themes now.
Yeah.
It's
easier
fun.
That
Keeps
way,
it
to
fresh.
be fair, yeah.
The theme for next week is goblins, gremlins, and gross little dudes.
Hell yeah, it is.
Which I'm very excited about. I think there's a lot of horror movies that can go into it. We talked about in our little introductory episode, I talked about how my favorite horror film of all time is Gremlins.
Yeah.
I love a film about a gross little dude.
A film.
I love a film about a gross little dude.
Gremlins.
I love a film about the Gremlins. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about some. Do you want to go first?
Actually, yeah, I can, because I didn't think of a backup in case we picked the same film. But I imagine we probably haven't.
Maybe not.
I am going with... So, I would have gone with Gremlins if I, one, didn't know that we both already love it.
Yeah.
And two, I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
I don't really want to watch it again. Unless I have to.
I'm saving it for Christmas.
That's fair.
I'm saving it for a Christmas special.
Yeah, that's fair. So, I have gone with the knockoff. I'm going with Critters. Because I've never seen it.
Interesting. That's the first time this has happened. That's what I was going to pick as well.
Oh, really?
I was going to pick Critters as well.
Okay.
That's fine. I do have another. Well, I have a few others that I can go with.
I did have one, but I'm afraid to pick it.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've got a decent one, I'd rather go with your backup than mine.
I've got one that has got good recommendations. I think there are lots of films kind of from the 80s that I could pick from. But I think I might pick something more recent.
Okay.
That comes, not a very well-known film, but has come quite highly recommended. I think it was James A. Janice from Dead Meat the much more popular horror podcast. I think I saw him tweeting about it, and that was where I saw it. It is a film that came out only a couple of years ago. You know what? I should really double check that I'm calling it the right name. I think it's called Unwelcome.
Unwelcome.
Unwelcome. I'm going to look it up. It is called Unwelcome. So starring Hannah John Kamen, who was in she that's the one that was in. Oh, it's either her or she's the one that I'm always confusing her. Yeah, she's the one that was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and also in. She's not the one that was in Suicide Squad. I keep thinking she's the one that's in Suicide Squad. No, she's the one that was. She was the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
The ghost.
Ghost.
Okay, yeah. I know what you mean.
Also, Jamie Lee O'Donnell, who was in Derry Girls.
Okay.
And Colm Meaney.
I do love her.
Colm Meaney, who
I do like Colm Meaney as well.
From Star Trek, from Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Who I love. So it's set, and also the guy that played Hodor, by the looks of things.
Christian Nairn,
yeah. So it's about a young English couple who move to rural Ireland and are kind of sort of gentrifying it. And basically all of the Irish folks are like, we fucking hate you. And then a bunch of goblins come and kill them.
Sounds great.
Like, from what I understand, the premise is, and it got quite, it's not particularly well known, but from what I have heard, seems to have been quite well received. So
now
I'm
that you say that,
to...
it rings a bell. I'm going to go and watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Because I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there you go. 2023. It only came out this year.
All right.
So it's a very recent film.
It is out on home video. We can watch it, right?
Yes, I think so. I think it might have been straight to video.
Cool. Okay, cool. Excellent. So one of my backups, I don't know if you've seen it, but it came up in my research of gross little dudes.
Yeah.
Basket Case.
Oh, that was actually one of the ones that I was tempted to choose.
It looks wild. I'd never heard of it, but he is a gross little dude.
Oh, yeah, Basket Case. Yeah, it's like such a kind of grimy film. It's that like super pulpy early 80s or late 70s.
I think it was, 80s.
New York. Like the special effects, they use a lot of like stop motion for Belial, the little guy that lives in the basket, which looks quite cool. I was tempted to go with Chud.
Okay,
the other one,
Chud.
Or possibly Chud 2, Bud the Chud. I was because I decided I settled on Critters, and I was really tempted to go with Critters 4.
There's a fourth one?
There's 5, I think.
Oh, I don't know why.
I think there was 4 sort of like 80s into like early 90s over the course of like 10 years, and then there
mean it didn't peak after Critters 3 with Leonardo DiCaprio
with Leo, but then there's a Critters 5 recently.
All right,
maybe like 2017 or something. They did a Critters 5 called Critters Attack or Critters Kill or something like that. Anyway,
sounds great.
Yeah, cool. So,
yeah, I've never seen Critters, and I've not seen Unwelcome. So, yeah, I'm good with that. Couple of good choices for the gross little dudes next week.
Yeah, very excited. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Goblins, gremlins, and gross little dudes.
Very exciting. Okay, so we say goodbye to sharks and hello to green little dudes, gross little dudes, goblin little dudes.
Yep.
Ghoulies.
Ghouls.
Little ghoulies.
Ghouls.
Ghouls.
I love ghouls. Put that under interests.
But
Ghouls.
Yeah, Colm Meaney's in It's Always Sunny as well.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't think I got to that bit.
How about that? We're tying things together.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, we will see you next week, folks. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. Finn. Because it's the end. It's the end of the podcast, so it's like Finn, but it's a shark because it's a shark episode. You know, like old films would have Finn at the end when it was the end of the film. For like finish, it would say Finn, but it's a shark episode, so it's Finn, like a shark fin.